I read this week about friendships, and I often quote in this podcast a Dale Carnegie quote, which is, and this is from his book How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Right.
Have you read that?
Yes.
Have you read it, Kareem?
I have not.
JJ? You've read it, JJ?
Yeah. I did when I was in college.
John Dolder, have you read it?
Maybe, I don't know.
Speak into the mic.
I am speaking. Hang on. Hello, hello.
There you
There
are.
we go. Fuck, I can't remember.
You may not have read it.
Yeah, I might have not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, given you can't remember if you read it or not,
yeah.
do you think it's been working
I
on
mean, if I read it, it would probably influence me. So,
right.
enough to remember. But
So one of his main quotes is, all else, but this is more a business book, to be honest with you, than it is just a regular friendship book, but it applies to both worlds. And in fact, he's saying, yo, the more you invest in your friendships and relationships, the more it's going to improve your life overall, including business. And one of his main quotes is, and this is the one thing I took away from that book so powerfully, all else being equal, people would rather do business with their friends.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you distinctly recall that message from the book, JJ?
I don't remember that message, but
Well, shit, what the hell what'd you walk away with?
remember the book. I bought it for my kids.
Oh, yeah?
But,
Really? The only thing I remember from the book is just remember everybody's name, and then you'll
that's
go
what
to the top.
I remember that too, yeah. People love to hear their name, Lancey.
Yeah,
Lancey,
they love
people
it.
love to
They
hear their
love
name.
it.
Lancey, let me tell you how bad people... If you only knew Lancey, how much people love to hear their name.
He's about to ask you for money.
I'm about to orgasm.
you should look at the bottom of the table.
I don't need to. It's coming right through the table. Yeah, you're right. People love to hear their names. But so all else being equal. So then I sent you all an article that I was reading about friendships and how important they are. I don't know if you all saw that. But yeah, I think there's something to, the world today where we have a whole lot of quantity of friends. But I think there's very few, often, people in my life and in other people's lives, very few people in my life that I can be vulnerable with, like just one or two or three friends that I can just literally tell them anything.
Right.
They'll respond to every text. And lo and behold, Lancey, me and you had an issue this week.
Yeah, I was fired up.
Lancey texted me. Lancey texted me literally 9 days ago. Wednesday. Not 2 days ago Wednesday, 10 days ago Wednesday, 9 days ago Wednesday.
Is that what it was?
I believe so.
Like I said, I wasn't keeping stats on it.
I was.
So I was not actually mad at Almer.
That's nice of you because you assume the best. But what happened was I was sick. I was down and out. I was isolating myself. I was upset. Like, why am I so sick? I'm sick a second time. And so I didn't respond to Lancey's text. Not just that Wednesday or Thursday or Friday. It just sat out there. And the guy, Lancey's like, yo, I miss you, man. Let's grab some coffee or something. No, I just, Saturday, Sunday, nothing. Monday, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. Finally, like late Tuesday, I'm like, dude, what is up with me? I like this guy a lot. And here I am not responding to him. That is totally damaging our friendship. This guy can't trust that I'm going to be there for him or respond to him. And so it had me thinking about friendships a lot ever since that moment. I sent him a message back, explaining my situation, apologizing, and then picked up the phone and called him too. I'm like, yo, if you never talk to me, I get it. I understand. I totally kind of left you hanging there. And he assumed the best. He's like, yo, you're a dude who's running a business and you're trying to do comedy and you have a wife and children that you're prioritizing. Like, a million things had come up. So I didn't, so he assumed the best. But it made me think like, yo, if that's how I handle friendships and relationships, that's going to directly impact my success in life and specifically in business. And I wanted to just throw that out there to see like what you all experiences with that, with friendships in general. Is it easy? Is it hard for you to make friends, like real friends, not Facebook friends? And if so, have friendships impacted your success in business or in the world? I don't know. Does that bring up anything for anyone?
I feel like for a long time, I think still today, I don't think I've been on a formal interview for a job.
Same.
So, and the reason is because friends know people who say, hey, he's a good guy, you can hire him and trust him. And then when they're like, oh, well, coming from you, that's good. So, So long story short, I'm horrible at it. Interviews, probably. I don't know.
Because you rely on your friendships. Yeah, that's actually hugely beneficial.
Right.
I think there's a divide. Like you were saying, there's like the really close friends that you have very few of. And it's sometimes almost not a good idea to do business with them. Because then if something does go wrong, then it's putting your friendship at stake.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side, Facebook friends, it's like, oh, I saw someone just open something and they might need like help and I need a job. So now I have a job.
To them. Yeah.
So I think it's good to know a lot of people, but yeah, keep the core friendships more as like a mental health. Like,
but I think also look at it this way. Let's say you're in a job like you were, and you're the people you work with or your clients, right? So, for example, you were working as a server at a restaurant, right?
Right.
At some point, there's gonna be some regulars, and they're gonna start to look at you as like, I like this guy, Lancey.
Yeah.
Almost like family. Like I want to go to wherever you're working at, restaurant you're working at, to go see Lancey at this point. It's not even for the burger or whatever. You know?
Right.
Those people could have an impact on your life if you connect with them.
Right.
And you're willing to open up with them and develop a deeper friendship. That was true for me at JP Morgan. With some of my clients, I would end up just hanging out with them as friends. And it had a big impact on my business. JJ, does any of this resonate with you?
Absolutely. I mean, my last career, my job was to build relationships with financial advisors, and building relationships, just like you said with your clients when you're at JP Morgan, you become friends with folks that you like hanging out with. And, sometimes it's just, all right, this is someone that I'll add to my network. LinkedIn is pretty handy for that. You can just connect to somebody and not have a deep relationship, just have that acquaintance connection. But it's good to have those because you never know what you're going to be doing where that might be a connection you need. I know with what I've been doing the last year, it's a lot of people that maybe I only met once, but they see something on social media and then they share it with someone and then the word spreads. But at the same time, like you'd said, you maybe only have the smaller number of people that you really have that deep relationship with. You'd mentioned your Dale Carnegie that people like to do business with friends. I always wonder, is that true or not? Because, I don't know if I want to do money management type business with my closest friends all the time. I'd rather just keep that relationship where it is sometimes. So I think it depends on what your business is. But what's been interesting to me is watching people that, as I moved out of that corporate world where I was calling on them as a salesperson, where I could take them out to drinks and pay for lunch and that sort of thing, seeing, all right, who is still my friend now that I'm not calling on when I'm just calling on them,
right?
Versus that business relationship. And I've seen, maybe some of these relationships that I thought were deeper really aren't. But I've also found the flip side, some that I didn't realize that were as deep as they are.
Interesting.
So both ways.
All right, I want to make a clear distinction here because I've heard Kareem say it and JJ say it. The Dale Carnegie thing, from my opinion, is less, hey, my old buddy from grade school, let me get him to be one of my clients as a money manager. I don't think that's necessarily what I'm talking about. That could happen. I'm okay with that in some circumstances, but I agree with you guys that may not be the move. What I'm saying is you're in your life already. All of us are in some kind of business in some kind of way, whether it's at your job or whatever, And I'm saying, instead of treating people as clients, actually begin to be intentional about forming relationships with them.
Right.
You're talking to them a lot already, but be intentional about forming a relationship with them. The benefit of that is the following. So JJ, you used to talk to financial advisors, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure you had some clients where you were intentional, like this guy's just cool. Like I just want to talk to this guy more than most of my other clients because somehow we connect. And so you build an intentional relationship. You make an extra trip just for him or her. And now that guy, when he's figuring out what he wants to buy, does he want to buy JJ's mutual funds or does he want to buy Bob's mutual funds? It's going to probably be a pretty quick answer for him. It's like, no, I'd rather buy JJ's actually because I think it's a good product, but also I like JJ a lot and I want to see him succeed and win. That's kind of the reverse I'm looking at, is not the longtime friend make him a client. I'm saying you already have a life and clients, intentionally build deeper relationships with them. I believe that'll impact your success, and they'll want to see you win more. What Kareem and JJ, do you guys understand that distinction?
No, absolutely. It's not just business. When I'm at my best, I try to be that way in general, just with what I'm doing, just be aware of who's sitting next to you and what their story might be. I'm not always that way, but when I'm at my best, I'm intentional like that, and you try to build those connections.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, once you start separating like strictly business and like being a human being to other people, then you're gonna see that people aren't like so happy to work with you.
Yeah, they're not responsive, right?
But if like I treat you as like, oh, you're another person, you came to me because I have something that you need, and I'm gonna sit down and help you achieve your goal, whether it be buy a drink or like do something a lot bigger with like millions of dollars, then it's like a human to human interaction that like can grow and benefit both of you.
Right.
But then also in general, it is a lot easier for me to call up one of my friends and be like, hey, I need to buy this, than it is to call up a completely random person and be like, yo.
Full agreement. I'm the same way. Yeah, so that was that friendship article, and I saw, and I think there were some tips on there, like 5 ways to deepen those relationships. Did you guys see that article?
I did. I glanced at it there.
All right, so here's number 1, right? Create a foundation of security, i.e., answer that text.
Right.
He read that and he's like, I'm so sorry, Lancey.
So be consistent, right? Friends that drift in and out of your life, probably not ones you want to be intentional about. Or if I'm drifting in and out of someone's life, that's not going to create a depth there. Being available, right? Hey, let's grab coffee sometime, and I'm never available. It's probably not going to create a deep relationship. Or same with a client, if you're not responsive to the client, So those are some examples about creating a foundation of security. It's kind of responsiveness.
Right.
Paying close attention, number 2. That's how you build a deeper relationship. So this can also apply with your clients in business or clients at a restaurant or whatever. That helps build what they say is intimacy. So if you start paying attention to someone's like detailed, specific nuances about who they are,
right,
and you pick up on that and you respond to those, they feel like, yo, this is powerful. Like, I appreciate this person.
Yeah. I used to go to a diner where they knew what I wanted before I would sit down. I wouldn't even order. I didn't order my food for like a year.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so they would just bring me my iced tea and my chicken omelet that I liked, and no questions asked. And that makes there were times where I went in there and I didn't even want that, but I was like, no, I'm just gonna eat it because I don't want to mess up the camaraderie I have with the staff here. And that's gonna impact their tip, the business you do with them. Oh yeah, for sure. Impacting everything. Yeah.
At my old job, the COO of the company, we were just like talking about random business
You said
things.
the COO?
Yeah, COO. Was talking to me and he goes like, someone came into his office and like said something and then they started talking and he goes like, man, one of the most important things that I awkwardly learned from a stripper was whenever you tell a stripper something, she'd be like, oh my God, I know someone from the same place. Because all of a sudden you have something in common and then you feel a more like connection to someone and you're going to give her more money because of that reason. So whenever someone comes into his office,
her doing a good job paying attention to her customers.
We can learn so much from this. We need to do some some work.
You know, the next podcast obviously has to be from a strip club.
Right. That's field trip.
so like whenever someone comes into his office and goes like, yeah, I'm from this city and like I do this and this, and then he'd be like, oh no, I
know someone from
my
that
cousin
city.
lives in
her
that
name
city.
is Bubbles.
My girlfriend.
But yeah, and then that way, like building connections with people.
Totally. It says paying full attention is not just knowing those things, but it's also literally paying full attention. Like, and this is something beautiful from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that I learned in my faith as a Muslim.
Say the same thing.
Okay, so this article is saying pay full attention, like your face muscles, your face, your eye contact is all turned towards this person. And that will have a huge impact on the intimacy and connection you have with this person.
Okay.
And so the Prophet, peace be upon him, would literally, and this was a man, right, who literally a whole religion and billions of people have followed him now for 1,400 years. But no matter what, he would turn no matter who was talking to him, he would turn his whole body, and he'd have a person would have his full attention, the way you have my full attention right now, you know? And I learned that from him, or at least reading that, and I was like, yeah, wow, that does have an impact on my relationships when I do that with people. And so that's what this article is saying as well, to build those relationships with friends or just making clients better friends, you know?
That's interesting. And also, I feel like even if you're not a part of that relationship, you see that in people. You can see people squaring up, giving their full attention, and you're like, oh, well, that's a person who is 100% attentive to what they're doing right now.
I gotta admit, when a person I'm with jumps on their phone right in front of me without like warning me, just kind of doing it,
yeah,
I have not risen above douchebag Amr. I go straight into being judgmental. I'm like, fuck this person. Like this person doesn't want to be with me. And for all I know, like their mom's in the hospital and they need like a kidney transplant, and they're texting, and I'm like,
they're probably texting a friend back that they.
They're probably saying like, I'm with this dude Amr. I really don't want to be here right now.
I think that also carries over into how companies train their employees.
Oh, really?
I mean, like you said, you go to an Apple store and you talk to like 7 people, and like you want to talk to them for the rest of your, like they're like, what do you need? What happened to your computer? Blah, blah, blah. And then we walked into JCPenney and my mom's like, I need this shirt in this size. The lady was like on a walkie-talkie talking to some other guy. Some other random person's like, can I take my bathroom break now? It's like, bro, like, are you not paying attention to a conversation? Like,
yeah.
So it's like completely different.
Totally. You're right. All right. The next one they say is let yourself be known. You want to form deeper relationships and have friendships. And this is hard as adults to make friends. But they basically say let yourself be known. They're saying like, yo, you got to let people see you for who you are, the truth. Like most of us want to, I'm the king of this. I want to come off as cooler and smarter than I really am, you know? But the truth is, sometimes I like to watch Frozen with my daughter, and I'm like, fuck, this is an amazing movie. I love this shit. And I should just admit that. Like, I'm not too cool to watch Frozen, you know? The drama between Elsa and Anna is like a deep story plot that I'm like, this is amazing, you know? But they're saying like, yeah, like, you know, show people who you really are. If you really like to watch Honey Boo Boo or whatever, like, you can admit that, you know? That is what will help you.
Can you, though?
What? Yeah, you can. Do you do that, JJ, in some of your relationships, or like with your client relationship? Like, do you start to kind of let your hair down a little bit?
Oh yeah, I think that's the difference between the friendships and just people you know that you're acquainted with is, you know, you let your friends into your real world,
right?
Because I mean, everybody's normal till you get to know them, and then you find out none of us are.
Right.
JJ, tell us something you've never told anyone before. We're going to get to the bottom of some friendships.
Let's take this to the next level.
Yeah.
I've known you for an hour, JJ. What are you withholding? All right, so those are some of the ways that I think your business relationships in a healthy way could get better, or with your clients, or just your general friendships and relationships. You want to just build friends as adults, which is effing hard for me, at least.
I think full attention, especially in today's distracted world,
goes a long way. Right?
I don't want to sound like a baby boomer, but
okay, boomer.
Yeah. But yeah, in today's world, everything is a distraction. Yeah. Even distractions are distracted by other things, you know.
Wait, what? Even distractions are what?
Yeah, like when I get on my phone to do something, I'm distracted by something else on the phone.
Oh, totally, man. Oh my God. Half my phone usage is like, wait, why did I come on my phone?
Right. I go to text somebody something, and I'm like, well, let me check Facebook for 2 hours real quick. It's
totally true for me too.
It's horrible. So giving your full attention to anything, not only other individuals, but I think just life in general could benefit from that.
Totally.
I think most people are almost like not capable of doing that for more than a certain period of time anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Amen.
JJ, do you have any issues with like phone addiction or anything like that?
Oh yeah, you said it right. Where you get on your phone, you get distracted by your phone. I need to shut notifications off for so many things, because do I really need to be notified that, Joe Blow so and so tweeted such and such and
Right. Have you thought about getting off of the phone completely?
What's that?
Have you thought about getting off the phone completely, kind of like going off the grid a little bit? Now that you're freelancing, I'd love to just
go completely off the grid, but no, it's I don't think I can. I've got too many things that I have to do on my phone, but I think I need to reduce the amount of things I do on it for sure.
Yeah, I've thought about going back to a flip phone,
right?
Literally buying one from eBay for $10 and just going back
to
that.
Yeah.
But the truth is, this freaking thing is extremely powerful.
Right.
It's so powerful. It's so beneficial to my life.
It told you to say that, right?
It has brainwashed me to just believe that. No, but truth be told, like for example, just something very beautiful. Like I like to read the Quran sometimes, and it's there in my pocket all the time. I don't need the actual book, and I'll just read some scripture, and it really helps my heart and makes me feel peace and connects me with a higher power. And that's a beautiful thing. Now, like JJ said, my issue is I got to reduce the other stuff that actually, really is connecting me more to the devil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not God.
That's true. Yeah.
You used to only get notifications if someone sent you a message, but now it seems they give you notifications for just random things.
Oh, everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. But one of my dear friends has a spiritual guide who he's from like from out in the eastern part of the world. And he's like, this is not a cell phone. This is a hell phone. I was like, damn, dude, that's deep. And it's true.
It is true. It is true.
So, all right, well, that's a piece of news. There was this awkward situation that happened this week. Speaking of awkward shit with Elon, there was an even more awkward moment with Donald Trump and Tim Cook. The news of the last several months has been like, yo, why is everyone hating and fighting with Donald Trump like Bezos and others? But Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, is like in a bromance with him. Have you noticed this, JJ?
Yeah, Tim Apple.
Tim Apple, yeah.
Tim Apple.
Yeah. He's no dummy. He's like, I think he realizes there's something to this relationship thing with the president.
I think you're right. Right. So they go and they visit this quote unquote Apple factory. All the cameras are there in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Did you guys notice this article or this story?
I didn't see that.
Did you notice this story, JJ?
I didn't. No.
Oh man, this is great. You guys got to hear this. All right, so they're down there, cameras are on, and him and Tim Apple, are walking through the factory, right? And first of all, right off the bat, they're bragging about how it's this Apple factory, but it's really a factory owned by a different company that Apple contracts to build some of their computers. So it's not even technically an Apple-owned factory.
Is it Foxconn?
It's not Foxconn. It's one of those types of companies. And so it's exactly just like that. So they get to the press conference and all that stuff, and that was the first thing. Is like this. Apple is bringing jobs to America, and Apple is building factories in America. And it's like, dude, that's not even an Apple factory. Like that you guys are walking through. That's bizarre. And Tim Cook mum's the word, didn't even correct him at all.
Why would you?
Right? I mean, you don't want to correct Trump right in the moment.
Well, I mean, why would you want to tell anyone that this isn't your factory to begin with?
Well, I mean, truth be told, people are watching and people can know you're not telling the truth. Like, you're lying.
Well, at the end of the day, when you're like skimming through on like wherever you get your news, whether it be Instagram or Snapchat or like literally any other place where news isn't supposed to come from,
Pulitzer Prize winning platforms, yeah.
You will literally see Trump say, "This Apple factory has brought jobs to America." Next,
right? You're right. Oh my God, Kareem is so right, dude.
Apple
oh my
won,
God,
right?
we should just. That's how fake news is created. We should be creating fake news on this podcast.
Yes,
and people will see that in the articles and just keep swiping.
Exactly.
All right. So then that's not all. So then they continue in the conference, and so he's like, Apple just opened this factory, because of my presidency, and I'm helping bring jobs for Apple back because of my pressure on Apple. And people looked it up and like, dude, this factory's been open for 6 years. It was actually open during Obama's presidency. And again, Tim Cook, silent. And everyone's like, WTF, what's up with this shit?
Was he paying attention?
Tim Apple?
Or was he on his iPhone?
He was checking his iPhone.
Everyone just zones Trump out so hard now. They're just like,
whatever, right? I mean, and then what was it? Last but not least, what was the last one? So it was built. So I think those were the two big ones. That it was built. It was just built, and he's brought all these jobs. Oh, well, there was one more, and that factory specifically designs or manufactures like $12,000 MacBooks, which not many people buy. And they design no iPhones. Those are all designed and manufactured in China, right? So it's like this factory is not even like, it's probably building like 1% of Apple products, like something very, very small.
What does a $12,000 MacBook do?
I don't know, man. It sounds like
I think I'm like a Mac, not necessarily a MacBook.
Oh, maybe.
It's a fully loaded MacBook is like
a
4,000.
Mac desktop probably, Mac Pro desktop or something, right?
Oh,
so which the target audience of all those computers are literally going into show business.
Oh, is that right? That makes sense.
100%.
Editing and post and all the posts
All
and
that.
huge video, yeah.
oh.
And so again, Tim Apple didn't respond to anything to correct him in anything that he was saying or doing. And the only guess is that he's hoping, when one of the reporters asked, like, Donald Trump, will you be, because Apple's bringing jobs back to America, which is bullshit, but will you be giving Apple an exception on tariffs with China? And Trump said, we'll explore that. And so that's the guess, is that, Tim Cook is actually angling to get Trump to give him a break on an exception on these tariffs. So, at the end of the day, principles shit the bed and people just want money. That's what's really going on here.
Well, you're supposed to
He's using his China game plan.
He's using his China game plan. You're talking about Tim Apple?
Yeah.
I think you're right, dude. Buy that stock, JJ.
JJ, it looks like you're about to record a lawyer commercial with those books behind.
Definitely got the look.
Those are all the books he read in order to be able to feel.
Door instead.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Those were all the books he read in order to start feeling out the market.
Yeah, you can really change your background there quite violently between office and garage.
Yeah. You're going between like professor and
startup versus professional.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Have you been injured in an accident and you want to invest in my app?
So JJ, let's jump to you. Let's put the spotlight on you, man. Why did you write this book, Teaching Kids to Buy Stocks?
My goal was to convince folks that really wouldn't learn about the stock market normally that it's not quite as complicated as finance people make it out to be, to try to just bring, I call it the soccer moms of the world, into being able to talk to their kids about money and talk to their kids about the stock market. Just want to get the conversation going so that people aren't scared of it. That it's not this big mysterious thing, that it's, it's something that it's just a collection of all the companies out there. And it really is as simple as that when you look at it that way. Yeah.
I've had friends, JJ, after I started this podcast, I'm talking about doctor friends who have a lot of money, have come up to me and been like, "Oh, dude, I need your help." I'm like, "What's up, dude? Like, you want drugs or something? Like, you're so like freaking me out right now." He's like, "No, dude, I've got a decent amount of money and I haven't been investing." He feels like he's making here. It's mostly been men. They feel like they're doing a sin because they have all this money. They're not doing anything with it.
Right.
And I'm like, "Oh, dude, yeah, I can help you." He's like, "All right, well, tell me what I need to do. I probably need to buy 10 books and read this and do that and understand." I'm like, no, dude. That's all hocus pocus. You don't need any of that shit.
Yeah.
Most people, 99% of people, don't need any of that. You're going to waste your time. Just take that money, slowly start investing all of it into the market. All right? We'll get you into some exchange traded funds. and then just sit back and watch it. He's like, it can't be that easy. I'm like, it really is that easy.
Yeah.
And so JJ writing this book is like, I think a fantastic thing, even for like sophisticated people in different fields, like doctors, but who feel like there's a huge barrier to even investing their money in the market.
No, absolutely. I grew up out in the country in Kansas, and I watched the people that created good nest eggs in the stock market. It was the wives of the farmers. It was these old ladies that
The wives
didn't let their husbands put all the money into the farm that was a sinking ship. They would go down to the bank and they would buy shares of companies. They wouldn't buy funds because they didn't want to pay a fee. But they would go and they'd buy shares of a utility company or something else that they knew, and little bit at a time. And they weren't savvy. They weren't investment savvy. They just were savers. And those were the folks that I saw do the best in investing when I was growing up.
Wow. So you're saying the wives of the farmers would be like, well, my husband is too busy thinking this farm is going to be everything. And she would realize that's a whole bunch of bullshit. That this guy's way too romanticized with his farm, thinking he's going to be the next John Deere or whatever, or like, you know, the next big... that was the absolute worst comparison, but I'm going to go with it.
Who's the greatest farmer of all time?
John Deere?
John Deere.
You're from Kansas. Who's the greatest farmer? You're from Mississippi. There's no farmers in Mississippi. Who's the greatest farmer of all time? Is there like literally a...
Monsanto.
There we go.
Roundup. Is there the greatest farmer of all time?
John Deere, I don't know.
Wait, I know. Old MacDonald.
Yeah, old McDonald.
There we go.
He's got to be the best farmer of all time. You think old MacDonald's wife was like, "Get the fuck out of here! You ain't buying any more chickens for that stupid song. I'm going down to First National Bank of Omaha. Buy us some ComEd." That's basically what happened, is what you're saying, right, JJ?
That's what I saw growing up. Is that
Mrs. McDonald did.
Those were the stock investors that that I was around growing up. And then we had teachers that talked to us about investing. And my goal in doing this was just to show folks that the basics are really quite basic. It's a collection of companies, and the price of that company's stock is going to tend to follow their profits. And if they're profitable year after year, and those profits are increasing, then that stock price is going to go up. If the profits are decreasing, if they're JCPenney's, and it's just a bad year after bad year, then stock price is probably going to go down. And that's really what you're buying when you're buying stocks. Now, there's times when stocks, you don't know why they're moving, and that's part of it. Is there's chaos in there as well. But over the long term, good companies with growing profits, those stock prices go up.
Fear and greed. Fear and greed are the two biggest emotions that drive stock market, and that's what creates chaos. Is the oscillation between those 2 points of fear and greed. I think. I had a friend on here, JJ, once. His name is Masroor Ahmed. This guy is totally a long-term investor, building wealth for the long term. He did some research when he was at Deutsche Bank. He did some research. He's like, man, I believe in the investing in the long term so much that I bet you. He said, I bet you, even if you always invest at the worst time, even if you buy high and as long as you buy high and you just keep buying at the highs over decades, you still end up returning 10%, a huge amount, over long periods of time, buying a collection of stocks. You'll never believe it, JJ. You could buy the highs, buy at the worst time possible, and you will still return the historical returns, if you can believe that, as long as you do it over 30 to 40 years.
No, absolutely. Especially if you're buying the broad market. You're buying individual stocks, then it's the risks are much higher. But when you're buying the market as a whole, absolutely. Yeah,
it was definitely buying the market as a whole.
Yep.
All right, so you write this book. Your company's like, F you, we're not going to let you be here and market that book. And so you move out on your own. How has the feedback been? Like, what has been the biggest takeaway readers get from your book that they're not getting from other books?
No, the feedback's been great. I think the best feedback I got was from my father-in-law, who is not a man of a lot of words. He's rather soft-spoken, and I think he's probably said less than 1,000 words to me in
Total?
the 18 years I've been married to his daughter. So, we don't talk a lot. But he read the book, and then he took it down to his financial advisor and said, "Hey, you should give this book to every client you have." He took it down to the library, and he really started ranting and raving that this helped it all make sense finally for me. So that was the best feedback I got. And then my dad as well. He read the book and said, "Wow, I think I want to start buying stocks now."
Wow.
I thought you already did, but.
Okay, got this. So that personal feedback was powerful for you, huh? Wow. All right, and then give us like your favorite chapter that you wrote that you think is the most powerful. Like what's the big message that you want readers to walk away with, or you want us to listeners to walk away with?
Yeah, the chapter that my favorite chapter, and this is probably not the one that stands out in people's minds because it's maybe one of the drier chapters, because I try to keep it fun, try to keep it light so that that folks stay engaged. But I have a chapter where I walk folks through the whole idea of the stocks follow earnings, and that a company is its earnings. And I show folks that the earnings, how you calculate the earnings per share of a company, that whether it's Apple or Amazon or whatever, each share, there's an amount of earnings or profits of that company that's represented by that share price. But I walk folks through, when you look at the stock market, it's no different than if you're trying to sell your business and your business is making $100,000 a year, someone's going to offer you a multiple of that $100,000. Maybe they'll offer you 200. They'll give you 2 years up front, or maybe they'll give you 500,000. But they're going to offer you a multiple of what you're making today. And same thing with the stock market. If you look at Apple, their earnings, we take that earnings and we put a multiple on that, and that's your stock price. And so in that chapter, I kind of walk through the example with the lemonade stand versus Apple, and here's what earnings are per share, and then this is how much we pay for that. And it really gets down to the PE ratio, price over earnings. You're in essence is saying, how many years worth of earnings am I buying up front? So to use Apple as an example, it has about a 20 PE ratio. That means we're paying for 20 years of Apple's earnings.
All right, so wait, let's slow down a little bit. Let's slow down. So this is fantastic. This is amazing. All right, John, I really want you to listen to, especially. Right. So I want to understand if you get this. I want to know if you get this. So a lemonade stand that makes, forget it. I own a restaurant. Let's say the restaurant makes $100,000 a year. I think, JJ, correct me if I'm wrong, but most people will come in who want to possibly buy it and say, "Yo, I'll give you $300,000 for that restaurant, and I'll take over ownership," or "I'll give you $400,000 for that restaurant." We'd all agree that's probably what people are going to pay me. They're not going to pay me much more than 3 or 4 times the annual profit of that business. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. Would you agree with that, JJ? That's probably what someone's going to pay me, right?
Yep.
Okay. What about Apple, who makes, let's say, $100 billion a year, right? Or maybe, let's just hypothetically say they make $100 billion. Mm-hmm. What we're saying is, same idea, that's what the stock price is. So instead of paying 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 years worth of the restaurant's money, you're saying people will pay 20 years to buy Apple stock. Right.
That's in essence the same thing, as you're putting a multiple on those earnings. You're saying, all right, I'll pay for 10 years worth or 20 years worth of those earnings up front. And you might say, well, why would I pay for 20 years of something up front? Well, maybe you're sitting and waiting on it, but most likely you expect those earnings to go up. It's not going to take you 20 years to get your money back.
The $100 billion a year Apple makes, you're hoping that they'll actually make 120, 140, 160 as years go on. And that's really what you're paying for, is the hope that those earnings go up.
Yep. And so once you understand that, it helps you understand the expectations built into a company. If you
That's
say, all
what
right,
it is.
Apple,
The expectations.
I'm paying for 20 years worth of earnings. Well, I have a different expectation if I'm paying that versus I'm paying, just use hypothetical, Johnson & Johnson. I don't know what it trades times earnings, but it's, maybe it's 10 times. Well, I'm probably expecting it to grow less quickly if I'm only paying for 10 years of that profit up front. Versus something like a Netflix, which when I wrote the book, it was trading, you had to pay for 100 years of earnings up front. It was trading for 100 times earnings versus at the time when I wrote the book, Apple, I think, was at 15. Fast forward, this would have been using last year's numbers. Apple's been a great performing stock because the earnings have kept going up. Netflix has struggled because the earnings have gone flat.
Right.
But one's priced at 100 times those earnings and one is at 15 or 20. So there's a lot more risk in something that's priced at a lot more for each level of earnings. Same thing if you're selling that restaurant, if someone's going to pay you for 20 years of earnings versus 5 years, it's going to be a lot tougher to make money if you're paying for 20 years worth of that restaurant earnings up front than if you're paying for 5.
Of course, the guy buying it for 20 years is kind of foolish. He's kind of a schmo.
Yeah, it better grow.
He better have a plan to grow the shit out of those earnings. Do you get this, John?
Yeah, I follow.
Really? So like the number of years that resonates with you, like when you buy a stock, you're kind of buying the expectation of how many years of profits I'm going to be betting on.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So after you hit a certain point, is there any let's say Apple is like 20 years right now, right? Once it hits the 20-year mark, do you does that mean anything, or is that just...
It's less. So JJ, how would you? I got an answer, but how would you answer that question? Do you get it?
Well, so I mean, at a certain point, it's going to grow less quickly. You hit a size where large numbers. It's harder to keep growing at 20% when you're as big as you are. So I don't know if this is what you're asking, but at some point you expect that to level off.
I would say this. You don't want to think of it in terms of the broad 20-year horizon that's about to start. The day you buy the one share of Apple, you actually don't care about holding it for 20 years. That's not the major point of earnings per share. That's not important at all. Who cares that? It's not important that whether it's going to successfully do its 100 billion for the next 20 years. That you don't care about that. What you actually care about is that the market's expectation, the market believes, right? The market actually believes, if you buy one share of Apple, we think you're going to get 20 years of earnings by holding that share. And so you might look at the Apple stock and be like, man, these guys are going into Apple Plus, Apple Hollywood, Apple Health, Apple this. You're like, man, I think these guys are actually going to make their money way faster than 20 years. I think it's going to be 10 years or 5 years. Like these earnings are going to go up quickly. I need to buy this stock. Or you might say, no more iPhones, no more Macs. These guys, they're clowns. It's going to take 40 years to make that money back, or 50 years. I'm a seller.
So in essence, do I think the company can stay the way it is for the next so many years? Like, do I think it's going to be profitable?
Would you agree with that, JJ?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's
exactly how you think about the stock market, right?
So, let's say I'm buying part of a company and they're the period of how much I'm buying up front is 5 years. And they're like a startup or whatever. It's like, in the next 5 years, will this company still exist? And will it be doing as well as it is now? So if you think it is, then yeah, buy it. And if you think, no, 2 years are going to fizzle out and slow down, then it's not worth it. Yeah,
or you can even short it. You can bet against it in a technique called shorting the stock.
Yeah, I've never messed with it, but I've seen it before.
Yeah, you can short it. Okay, so that was your favorite chapter, is explaining earnings per share.
Low key, that just blew my mind.
Yeah? In what way?
I mean, okay, I have a decent amount of money in Robinhood and Stash and whatever.
This guy's got decent amount of money in Robinhood. He's driving a Porsche. Dude, do you really need a job?
Yes, I did need a
Okay.
job. I stop.
Okay, I'll stop.
Thank you. No, but when I understood that I had to invest, just because you want your money to make more money
Long term,
and,
right?
And I just understood that I'm buying parts of companies.
Yeah.
But I never understood that that's that's the reason why.
Yeah.
At
that's
the
what
end
you're
of the
betting
day,
on.
it's
Yes.
do I think that this company will last however much upfront I'm paying? I thought it was just this is how much a company is if you divide it up, and you're just buying it because the company might be worth more.
That is the basic understanding. This is the value of the company.
So I thought it was
But
just that.
But the better, the deeper layer of understanding, which will help you invest better, is what JJ's explaining here. It's the number of years of earnings.
It's knowing how the game works, but knowing why you're playing the game.
There you go.
Dude,
You've just put this guy into the matrix
now.
He's in a Muslim matrix. Right?
No. Now I'm gonna spend probably all of the night looking at this is this much money. Do I really think that this company is gonna last for that long or whatever?
Well, JJ, you said there was a rating for this, right? Is that available on Robinhood or something? Will they tell you the actual rating of how many years they're projecting?
Yeah, so you can look at whether it be on Robinhood or really anywhere, Yahoo Finance, anywhere that you get quotes, they'll have estimates for what analysts are expecting earnings to be in the future. They're just estimates, and analysts are, they tend to be a little bit overly optimistic. But you can get an idea of what people are expecting it to be, but more importantly, you can see what earnings have been previously. So you can see, is there a trend? Have earnings been going up by 20% a year for 5 years or for 10 years? Or you can see what they've reported, and it'll show it in a table format. And then, because the analyst opinions, those are forward-looking. You have to take it with a grain of salt. But you can see what they've been doing, and I'm not saying that everybody that buys a stock values it on earnings this way, but this is one of the key ways that people look to value a company is by a multiple of those profits. It doesn't mean you're going to get paid back all of those earnings, because the price of the stock may go down if people don't want to pay as much for it in the future. The other thing to look at is you might be getting paid cash along the way if it pays a dividend as well.
Right.
And so that's another reason why you might see a stock that, it doesn't trade for a lot times earnings, but it pays a 5 or 6% dividend. Well, people are maybe owning that not because they think the stock price is going to go up, but just they want the dividend. They want the cash.
Yep.
So,
but yeah, you can go on any platform and look for the PE ratio. It's called. It'll tell you the number of years.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
So that number is just going to be 20.
Yep. It's going to be the average for the S&P probably is around 15 to 20.
So, and then that would mean that they project the next so many years to be successful as to how much you're paying for it.
Yep. If you buy that right now, the market's expecting you to be able to recoup 15 to 20 years of profits from these companies you bought.
So basically, here's how the math works. If you have earnings, the earnings of the whole company, divided by all the shares, that gives you that's your PE. You've got your price per share divided by earnings per share, and then that if you flip it, that just tells you this is how many years up front that I'd be paying for. Right. And it's just a way to compare, because a stock that's trading for a PE of 10 versus one that's trading for a PE of 20, the market expects more from something with a PE of 20 because it's more expensive.
Yeah.
All right, so JJ,
I'd hate to interrupt, but we're low on storage. We have about 9 minutes remaining.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah, I just got a message, so I don't want it to cut off.
Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah.
All right, we got 9 minutes to go. Let's make these good 9 minutes. So JJ, should we all write a book? Have you been selling millions and millions of books?
Not quite millions, but if you have something to say, you should write a book, or you should at least write a blog. I'm glad I did, because I felt like I had something I wanted to share.
Mm-hmm. And if you wanted to get that message out that you've said now out to more and more and more people, have you kind of cracked the nut? What is the game for you if you wanted to do this permanently and full time and not jump back into a corporate career?
Now, if I wanted to do this full time, I would need to leverage it into paid speaking engagements. That would be the way to make a career out of this. I'm not going to sell enough books to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
But that'd be one way to do it. But I'm in the process of looking at some different things career wise. But to just be the book guy, I would need to find people to pay me thousands of dollars to stand on stage and speak, and several of them.
Have you been able to successfully do that sometimes?
No, not on a large scale. And I haven't tried. That would be the path.
Is that something you're interested in?
It's not something I'm pursuing right now. I take it when it comes to me.
Okay. Gotcha. So, I mean, it's very much an entrepreneurial, it's very much a 2019 world. Because what I'm basically saying is, hey, do you want to be an influencer? That's basically what I'm saying. That word didn't really exist 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. That's a new word happening. But what it really is I've got a following. People are following me and my advice on buying stocks, teaching kids to buy stocks. And you're saying, yeah, influencer's cool, but it's really probably not my first choice of what I want to do with my life.
Right. Now, what I'm just trying to get the word out to folks that, talk to your kids about money, maybe even talk to them about the stock market, and help show other resources that are out there. Pretty active on social media, and try to lift others that are doing a good job of putting resources out there for financial literacy. Try to show that that's out there. I work with a lot of financial advisors that were my old clients, and try to help them bring that into their practice. Show them that if don't just be a good advisor for your clients, be a good advisor for your community, and you'll find that you can raise the image of your practice at the same time. So, I don't know that I'm trying to necessarily monetize my platform in a big material way, but it might be something that helps me support my next, what I do professionally next. I mean, I've got a lot of different things out there, so I don't know exactly which way they're going to go. But it looks like this is going to be, it'd be complementary to it.
All right. So, gun to your head, you had to decide what your next move is. Is it a move? Tell us what it might be. And is it a move that writing this book would, propel it even further or leverage it even further, help you make more money in that career, for example?
Yeah, I think it will. It depends on whether I get a more corporate gig where I'm hired again, or whether I go. I mean, it depends on the path I go, but there's a high likelihood that it will help. It'll give me a leg up no matter what I do next, really.
What are the things you're exploring? Like, but on the corporate side, what would it be? And on the non-corporate side or entrepreneurial side, what would it be?
So on the corporate side, it'd be more of what I was doing before, working with financial advisors, but repping for another company.
Yep. Someone who's cool with you being a book publisher.
Yep. Otherwise, looking at building a financial planning practice.
Oh, okay. Like JJ Wenrich advisors.
Yep. And so been talking to a few different companies, just trying to figure out where the best place would be to do that. That's what I want to do. That's probably what I end up doing.
Oh, okay. So that's what you want to do, and that's what you probably will end up doing. It sounds like you're leaning in that direction, which is very entrepreneurial.
Yep. And I think that this supports, everything I've done supports that.
Right.
I think that's where my skill set is.
Right.
But you never know.
You seem like a cool guy. You laugh with us easily. You're jumping on our jokes a lot. Like, I think that's an important skill to have if you're actually going to be trying to build a business. Because I think what's important in building a business is definitely like creating accountability, having employees who do the job right. But really, it's marketing. It's getting people in the door. It's getting people to believe in what you're saying and the product. And it seems to me, JJ, I'm just judging you from a computer screen, But it seems to me like, that's something you're comfortable with and you're good at. Would you guys agree with that? Or is JJ just a dud?
100%.
I agree.
You can say I'm a nut.
What do you think, Lancey?
I think so. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he's a good guy. But I'm also, I warn you, I've read Dale Carnegie's book, so I might just be saying that to get ahead in business.
Trying to win friends and influence people.
Yeah.
JJ, good luck with JJ Wenrich Advisors, brother. Hopefully that's something we can all. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say how can someone find the book first of all?
Yes, thank
and then
you.
Second of all, where can we follow you?
Boom.
Like Instagram?
Yeah, no. So the book's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Amazon.
.com. You look teaching kids to buy stocks, it'll pop right up. And social media, I am on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. At Teaching Kids to Buy Stocks on Facebook and Instagram, and at Teach Kids Stocks with an X on Twitter.
Boom. Boom.
Nice.
There's our plug. Do you have any shows coming up, Lancey?
Tonight, but this is not going to air.
No. Anything else next week?
Comedy Tub every Thursday.
Comedy Tub Thursdays.
Wait.
8
Oh,
p.m.
no, this is Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving,
This was-
baby.
Yeah.
Will
So-
you guys skip the week entirely?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it'll be the following week,
Um,
December 5th.
right. I'll be at the Letdown at Finley Dunn's on Lincoln Avenue
What day
in
is that?
Chicago on Monday night at 8 p.m. on
What's the date?
25th.
Boom. So November 25th at Finley Dunn's, 8 p.m.
Yes.
All right. Any plugs for you, Kareem? You looking for a job? If anyone's trying to find an employee?
I do everything decently.
Boom.
well.
John Dolder, thanks for kicking some ass. JJ, thanks for jumping on.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Peace, brother.